You seem way lower than me and Aaron physically in the shot.
Oh, for real?
Aaron, do you see it
Yes.
like that?
Yep.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes, little man.
All right.
Hit you with the Marlon Wayans a little bit. Sure.
All right. In this episode of My Mic Sounds Nice, we talk about love and hate. Kendrick wants the party to die. Raise your hand if you wish for a pivot in the culture. Sean Combs' party seems to have come to an end. I guess Kendrick called it. But now people have turned into the fictional detective Easy Rawlins and have run amok. Speaking of Walter Mosley and other books people don't read, the NAACP's resolution declaring literacy a civil right is a powerful wake up call. But everyone got mad when BET said read a book. Then we close things out with the Robinson Report.
Welcome to My Mic Sounds Nice, a freestyle conversation about, how about to say about health? I'm about to say about wealth. All right. Salute to the
Health is
Robinson
wealth.
Report. Health is
Health is
wealth.
wealth.
Yeah. Welcome to My Mic Sounds Nice, a freestyle conversation about health, relationships, and culture. Once again, this is Tim. Always glad to be in the building.
Welcome to My Mouth Signs Nice. This is Kevin, aka Reggie Jacks, coming from the Bronx. Thanks for joining us today.
My mic sounds nice. Helen Keller was real. The earth is round. And the show has started.
I got alternative facts on all of those.
Yeah. How kids gonna think Helen Keller didn't exist, man? We got pictures of the lady. What are we talking about here?
AI pictures. How you know that was real?
So,
Stop. Don't even entertain that. Somebody might believe you, man.
uh, in the notion of party and in the spirit of hip hop, we went from party and BS to Ain't Nothing But a Gangster Party to Kendrick now saying that the party needs to die. Where we at?
See, the reason I wanted to discuss this is, I think Kendrick is always multi-layered in his thinking and his subject matter, and I think him meaning the party need to die is probably on several levels in the way he wrote it. But I think there is a part that's saying that hip hop, should end and or needs to change or whatever. But and I agree with him. I think that I would prefer that the kids came up with their own new musical art form. I think hip hop has run its course in terms of being really creative and innovative, and I think every generation deserves to have that. And I don't think this generation really has that independence the way others in the past have had it.
So, Kev, before you build, I'm going to just read a portion of verse 2 because I think that speaks to what you were speaking about, Aaron. And it says, I think it's time to watch the party die. Street end and the corporate guys, the rappers that report the lies. I need their families mortified. We can do life without them. Get the bodies organized. Tell me if you oblige. No more pillow talking, jump starting, neighborhood wars, dirty mac and bees because your spirit is insecure. The flashy end with nasty decisions using money as a backbone. I want his head cracked before he's back home. The radio personality pushing propaganda for salary. Let me know when they turn up as a casualty. I want agony, assault, and battery. I see a new earth filled with beautiful people making humanity work. Let's kill the followers that follow up on popping mollies from the obvious degenerates that's failing to acknowledge the hope that we trying to spread. If I'm not the hope that we're trying to spread, if I'm not his vote, then you need to bring this effing head or film that S in high res.
I think that he's talking about us. I mean, not us specifically, but by and large, the majority of the culture,
What you do,
like
Kev?
like he's talking about you.
Yeah.
Like if you out here, like, and I get it. I always say, we had a discussion the other day talking about, because we were around when the beginnings of the Source magazine and a lot of the writing going out with artists, and hip hop had this very weird thing where the artists are hanging with the person that's writing and recording with them. And you're hanging together, you're drinking together, you're smoking together, you're going from one spot to the next. You in their car, you going like from here to here. You can't write anything negative about it. It's all this just it's all this positive things, and it's just these things. And kind of culturally now with social media, now everybody feels that they're this reporter. It just kind of feeds this ego, it feeds the beast, and it's like everybody's becoming a victim of the very songs that they sing.
What
So
you
yeah,
think,
let
Kev?
the party
I'm a
die.
Tim.
I do think that it's a call for reflection. We just celebrated hip hop turning 50, and does hip hop still show up to the club? Do we still show up to the club the same way? What is that metaphorical club? And also, I think that the industry has fed, because he talks about gluttony, which is extreme greed. And with the money and the wealth that has been able to be obtained, regardless of the opportunity cost, has us in a position of really being lost without realizing it. So that feeling of the party needs to die, as opposed to kind of tweaking certain things, because he also starts off using that proverb about burning the village down. And the African proverb is that if the children doesn't feel the warmth of the people caring about them, they're going to burn the village down to feel the warmth. And if we're at that space, we can't be afraid to start over. And that's, don't be afraid of our young people starting over, and or if we decide that it's time to start over and do something new. But I just see it as a call to action that things shouldn't continue going on the current trajectory that they're on.
I see. For me, this resonated with me because I've long felt that hip hop had run its course. Not that I want the art form to stop. I want it to continue, and I want hip hop records to be made. But I don't know that it needs to be the leader of the culture anymore. I think we need to ask ourselves: does hip hop do more harm than good? Does hip hop disseminate messages in a fair and equal manner, or have we devolved to the point where it's more debased than anything else? And I think it's been going that way for a long time. I think our generation pushed that ball up the hill, and it's continued in each generation. And my thing is that when kids create something new and fresh and innovative, there's a lot of purity, there's a lot of love in it, there's a lot of honesty and innocence. Even if it's the most grimiest thing, it comes from the purest place. And I think that this generation could, I don't want them missing out on that. It was very special for us when we were there as hip hop was growing and changing, and that's an experience I would want our young kids to have. But if they're just gonna parrot what's been done before, if they're gonna have the rapper starter kit with their jewelry like every other rapper for the last 35, 40 years.
Not the rapper starter kit.
Yes, for real. You know, I want them to have something new and fresh and unique, and I don't know that hip hop is that anymore.
When I just think of hip hop or the hip hop culture, you had graffiti, dancing, and all of those things, and the hip hop, it was countercultural. It was against what was accepted within the culture. Hip hop is the culture. Hip hop is a commercial.
Yep.
Hip hop is commercial. It's all about making money and those things. So you can't do hip hop. You can't really do hip hop and be counterculture.
Not anymore. Not Main Street hip hop. Not Main Street hip hop.
Yeah, there's a new art, well, relatively new, a young lady named Doshi, and I was listening to her interview with Ebro on Apple Music, and a quote that I wrote down and
I
talking
like that
about
stuff too.
the creation and things, and she said it just needs to be a balance of you can have pride in what you got, but I think it's also important of talking about the things that you've learned.
Yes.
And I feel that that leads to the storytelling. And a lot of commercial hip hop that is very formulaic right now, I think loses storytelling. And but I do think that there is a counter. It's crazy, as you said, Kev, that hip hop has become the dominant culture. So the new hip hop has to be counter to itself in a sense. And maybe it can't be that. So then it has to be something else. But the essence of telling your story in a real, authentic way as you are living it and sharing those lessons learned, we had the opportunity to do that. I think we would look at hip hop differently if in our formative years it was already this global commercial thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. You know, I want the best for this generation, and when I just see, it's not like it was just Chicago drill. Chicago drill turned into New York drill, turned into Fort Lauderdale drill, turned to Australian drill. You know, it's right now because of social media and because of the internet, uh, and everyone everywhere can see whatever innovations are taking place. The art form has become very, very, very similar, and it's been similar for years. It was similar in our late 20s. We had this, but right now, due to the internet, it's pretty bad. The only problem is if you had a new art form, would it face the same problems? Because that issue is not about hip hop. That issue is about uh, the world we live in. But
Go ahead.
no, I'm just gonna say real quick. Kevin and I, we were riding last week and we saw kids out on their bikes, and that just that counterculture thing of kids riding their mountain bikes in packs all over the country. Like that's a true youth movement that's not influenced by anyone else but the kids, and it's beautiful when you see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that that's just kind of the arc of what happens in life, kind of the cycle that you go through, where any type of art that becomes popular will then become commercialized, and then you're gonna have to deal with it. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure them dudes painting in France in front of the Louvre before it was the Louvre in there. I'm sure that became popular, and more people started doing the Renaissance type painting, and then that's the thing. And I'm trying to sell this, so I think that that's kind of with art. You're always going to go through those highs and lows. Opera was once hot at one point in time.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we have an opportunity that may be unique because hip hop is multi-generational from a cultural standpoint, from a fan standpoint. Aaron, you talked about wanting the best for this current generation of young people. In addition to that, I want the best for hip hop. It hurts me when I see its current state through the commercial lens. And I think the notion of the party is more of a family reunion that needs to be had
Yes.
because a way to avoid the cycle and the saga to continue would be what could happen if we all came together.
And
What would
said enough
happen if
enough.
we all came together, truly listening to each other, truly respecting one another, and what can be created, because I think that there are enough young people that are hungry and want something else. And I think that there are a lot of us that have eaten this enough that we don't want it anymore. But we have fallen into the trappings of having these conversations in these silos, as opposed to what would that family reunion look like where everybody got the same color shirts and you got the different generations, and you got to have that playlist that covers 99-year-old Nana all the way down to 10-year-old Troy the Fourth and everyone in between. Because if we could come together in a way and do that,
Yeah.
I think that would be something that could be transformational moving forward. And it would address a lot of the other issues, because there's a lot of lessons that can be imparted down about the dangers of, air quote, the party.
Yeah. Uh, to be honest with you, Tim, I would prefer that what you and Kendrick are referring to, where we don't have to blow this thing up and or move on from it, or it's run its course in terms of being the most important art form of the century, but actually can be reimagined where we go back and take it to the drawing board, where artists get back to the art, get back to the creativity, get back to the individual messaging of each person, whether that be, regardless of topic or positivity, negativity. That would be beautiful to see. So I like what you are saying, and I would prefer that, and what Kendrick's referring to in his lyrics, than having to move on. I just took that. I took that position because I'm like, wow, I just don't see this getting any better. But
Yeah.
but maybe in a world where it's like a powerful artist like Kendrick starts a conversation like that, and people are having this discussion, maybe the kids are out there and they're listening, like, yo, hey, this is kind of whack.
Yeah. No, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
I think for me, the end of the day, I enjoy art for art's sake, not necessarily for the commercialism or how many units have been sold or how many times it's played at the club or all those people. Like, art is art.
Yeah.
And if we can get back to that point where art is just art and it can be enjoyed, I'd love that too.
And we also have to understand the social situation that is playing, because we came up with hip hop where we were into hip hop before it really was something that you could do for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And
Or make money on it or
and
anything.
make money on it, and have this as a career. So we don't know what it feels like to be 12
Yeah.
and
Sure.
seeing MTV Cribs, somebody named Jay-Z that is influential in who does the Super Bowl halftime show, Fortune and Forbes list of billionaires, but this is a culture that you and your friends is freestyling on the bus in the cafeteria. We
Yeah.
didn't have those connections. Like, for us, it was like, yo, if you make something where people two neighborhoods over be like, yo, that's that new single by my man, hey, that's hot. That was it.
Yep.
That was it. Like, being able to cross boroughs was like, and then God, like, yo, you could go upstate and rock. Whereas now they're seeing this through this world commercial lens before they can even appreciate the art and
Yeah.
just appreciate how it connects to your soul. So there's some unlearning that we have to do so that we can move forward. But in the spirit of the party being over, this segment may be over.
Yeah.
Because we are no longer on that party, and yeah.
It's a
So
wrap.
can't we just all move along
Yep.
to the next song?
For real, for real.
Speaking of party and bull, speaking of billionaires or former billionaires, Sean Diddy
Wow.
Combs, Puff Daddy, Sean Brother Love, or whatever he goes by these days, was recently arrested. We know there's a whole lot of information around there. There's sex trafficking and all of that. Obviously, we condemn those things. That's not necessarily our angle that we're taking. We're taking on this. We condemn all sex trafficking.
Let's tell them what we're not going to do today. We're not going to do what everyone else has done with Diddy.
Yeah. I'm not. The thing that kind of strikes me about this online and social media, everybody's getting roped up into this now. Like I made the joke in the intro. Everybody thinks that they're detectives, they're sleuths, like they're running around like in the Scooby-Doo van, and they're like, "Oh, yo, okay, this person did this. This person was involved," and it's a horrible time. No wonder you have people that are deleting their entire social media, old people that are associated with them, because, wow, you're just taking and misinterpreting all types of things. I mean, what do you guys have to say?
I could be real selfish and say, I am so glad we all got married and left whatever semblance of the games that we were playing before social media and taping every moment of your life really became a thing. I appreciate the brain as the old, was it the Viewmaster, where you clicked it and the picture came and you had a memory. But honestly, in all seriousness, and to Aaron's point, like, we're not having this conversation to try to bring up facts and to present positions and to be a judge and a jury, even though we are peers in some contexts. But it is really using this as a reflecting point. We just, in the previous segment, we was talking about, does the party need to die? What is the climate that has been created or exacerbated that allows these types of things to permeate? And what is it that has to be done to begin to address that and really care for the thousands, if not people who may be nameless, but experience these types of things to various degrees, thinking that this is a part of what our culture is when it's not. Well, it shouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we are not, everybody on earth is covering Diddy in social media, podcasts. Could be a podcast about basketball. And they're gonna find a way to talk about Diddy. Well, Diddy took a picture with Tracy McGrady. So, and I think people
was Tracy at the party?
Exactly. I think people are exploiting this situation. Too many people have jokes. There's too many memes that are to me not funny. But regardless of that, the point is we weren't going to get into any of that. It's innocent or it's guilt. Quite frankly, it's none of our business. And we live in a world.
And Aaron, continue your point, but just for the listeners, one reason why we are speaking about this, we all went to Howard.
Yes.
We were at Howard. We came in 86. He came in 87. There is some connection, and by no means are we stating that connection to make us experts. We're just saying that from that perspective, it hits different when you're seeing what is happening now with someone that you played football with when we were 19 and he was 18 and the like. I just felt like that's going on what you were saying, to just give a perspective that's the reason why we're even speaking.
Yes, and on top of that, we're not, this isn't about getting into the case or none of that, because as I was saying, frankly, it's none of our business, and to be honest, it's not really the public's business either. And what bothered me, I didn't know Jeffrey Epstein But it bothered me that we had people saying, "Oh, he was on a plane with Jeffrey," as if that implies that that person was a pedophile. There are people talking about, "Oh, this person was at a party with Puff," and actors, Ashton Kutcher got, went viral over that. I've been at parties with him. My clothes have always been kept on, and it was a regular party. So I think that there are people, and did he throw great parties? He threw great parties. So I think there are, whatever the situations were or became, there are people out here that we are besmirching their character without knowing anything about them. And I'm not saying that some of these people may not have some guilt that needs to be addressed, but we don't know. And we are certainly besmirching innocent people. And so all you internet sleuths that got plenty of time to be searching in other people's lives and making memes and spending all this energy on something that is really negative.
But one thing before, and I think this is a Reggie Jacks moment. So before Reggie Jacks goes, in our previous show, Aaron, you had brought up when we talk about relationships that the way you keep them is that you're intentional, so you understand who that person is now, as opposed to us having met 38 years ago. But if every time we got together, the only thing that we can really talk about is us 38 years ago, then we're really not together in that
Yes.
present day.
Yes.
Because as we navigate and go through life, we change. And sometimes those changes are for the better. Sometimes those changes are for the worse. I'm saying that to say that there were parties. There was a pre and early bad boy, Puffy, that is different. And I'm saying different because it's not coincidental. You could almost look at the seasons of the name changes,
Yeah.
and there may be some realities that are attached to that. And to your point, now everybody is kind of making everyone guilty or questioning everyone up and down the entire timeline.
Yes.
Like, I would
Yes.
not want someone to come and talk to me about someone who I had some interaction with, but the last time I interacted with them was 98. And we're in 2024.
Yes.
I barely know me from 1990.
Yes.
So,
Yes. It's unhealthy behavior
Right.
to make cast aspersions at people. The last interaction I had was probably 2010, Kev, when we was at homecoming, and it was a party. He came in and brought out the bar and turned the party out.
Yeah.
And that might have been Diddy or Brother Love or whatever. But everybody there was there for homecoming weekend.
Yeah.
it was
It was a
context is
part-
everything. It wasn't at
Yes.
the hotel.
It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't in the hotel.
So we just have to be careful because there could be a picture of a celebrity that night with him, and somebody take that picture and go, "Oh, they were with Diddy in 2010 at a party," and la 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 when it was a regular party. My point is that what we are doing is publicly. It is the internet version of stoning people, but doing it through social media. And I think it's dangerous, and we need to be careful.
Yeah, I think, one thing, we're lucky that there weren't cameras, cell phone cameras and things, because we would certainly have tons of pictures with him being around him and stuff. So luckily we don't have to deal with those situations. But I think it's really disgusting to kind of try to rope people up in some mess for no reason, without any evidence, without any proof. I'm sorry, that's my phone. Let me handle that. And I think it's unfair. It's a difficult situation to put people in, and Justin Bieber, Usher, and all types of other people. I saw Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette was trending. Why? Because he was at a party next to Jay-Z and Puff. Like, that's crazy. My
Yeah.
man is home out of NFL, minding his business. Now suddenly we talk about him being at these alleged freak offs or whatever. Like,
This
come
is
on.
crazy what's going on. I mean, and I felt it had nothing to do with Puff. I felt like this with Jeffrey Epstein. Just because you got on a plane, you think he was a pedophile 24/7, 365? Everywhere he went? I mean, he was, but I'm talking about his behavior. He wasn't acting that way all the time. And I think we got to realize these are real human beings with real lives. And while people are just doing this for fun, you're really causing real harm to people. And there may be people that don't deserve it. And most likely they don't deserve it. And I think we got to ask ourselves, are we okay with this? Because we're doing it to celebrities now. But if this becomes normal behavior, we're going to start doing it to each other in the future.
And where is the line between willful participant to coerced victim play? And if we're just going by, hey, you were there, you were in the picture, what say you? We really don't know. We do not know the
None
level
of us know anything.
But I'm just speaking
So,
about.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not, and none of us know anything, but also none of us really understand the level of how your mind can be manipulated
Yes.
if you are willing to do whatever to get the opportunity to get whatever you think that it is that you're trying to get. Because whether it was Epstein or Harvey Weinstein or even Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, I'm just naming names. There's a feeling of power and allure that runs across all of them. And so when we're talking about coming together and starting over, we got to challenge that. We got to challenge that value system. We got to challenge what is acceptable and okay before we can do anything. And I just hope that if this, whatever happens, I hope it plays out.
Yeah.
Whatever is justice,
Yes, that's what I want to
let
happen.
justice come.
Yep.
And no matter how influential he is, this is not hip hop on trial.
Yeah.
This is that man,
Yes.
and
What is-
whoever was rocking with that man
Yeah. At that
on
time.
trial.
Right.
I don't
Yep.
care
Right.
how many people have records that say take that, take that. He is not the culture. The culture is not on trial.
Yep.
He is,
That's a
and
fact.
whoever else may come along.
And
That's
let the government make their case. And if he's guilty, they should build a special jail for him and put him under it and let his great grandchildren free. And if he and if not, like my point is, we just need to stop having this fever to condemn people, to hurt people, to smear people, and we've got to have a position of patience and understanding that what we do to others eventually can come to us.
Yeah.
And we could get, it's very easy, you get on online, people start saying you are X, Y, and Z, because they posted some pictures, or you got in an argument at the PTA meeting and now you're this and that. So we just need to be careful because it's really, really unhealthy behavior.
I mean, when it comes to having close proximity to people, and we're just saying that, oh, this person was close to them, standing next to them, interacted with them, whether socially, professionally, or something, that means that that's an endorsement of those people. Trust and believe that we have all been around people that have committed serious crimes, some that have been convicted and have gone through the system, some that have yet to be caught, or some that will be caught later on. And we've been around it. And imagine if somebody takes a picture with you. I remember one time I was walking and with a friend, stopping talking in Harlem, bumping into somebody, talking to this guy, and then the person walks away and they tell me, oh yeah, that guy, he was he just got out not too long ago. He had killed a police officer. It's like, oh, okay. Now imagine somebody takes a picture, me talking to this person, and then it's like, yo, Kevin's involved with this person. And like, it's just those things
Kevin
don't.
has cop killer friends.
Yeah, those things do not mean anything. Like it's like you got to have some real evidence. So like let people, man, live their life. You live your life.
Yo, there was a masquerade party on campus while we were students, and I think Earl took the picture. Like, there's a picture with me and Puff in the picture. I remember showing it to my son, and he was tripping. Like, yo, did he? And this was in Blackburn, so
Yeah.
I doubt very seriously.
Yeah.
People might have been doing the but there was no shout out to school days.
Oh
But
man, that's funny.
but it's to your point that this resurfaces, and then it's like, okay, now you got to explain yourself. It's like, come on, really?
Yeah.
But especially for those victims who were hurt and damaged, and lives and families, our prayers and our thoughts go out to them. Because to your point, Aaron, I think we get off on bashing and putting people down, and the internet has made us race to be first as opposed to being factual. And we will copy and paste and run with something, and we will argue like we were there.
Yes. And people will state facts that aren't facts. And like I said, there's a process. Let's let the process play out. And because I think that all of us have pedophiles in our personal family, whether they're cousins or uncles or
Uncle
grandparents.
Scoozy?
Yeah. And that's just the truth of the matter. And we don't like to say it, but we want to talk about, oh, you were standing next to this XY celebrity. Well, you were standing next to your cousin and you didn't say nothing to him. So reserve all your judgment and your holier than thou attitude.
And as we wrap this up, one thing that people are doing that I have an issue with is now people are trying to add, like, pulling up music. Like, oh, this lyric said this right here, so you know that this is true.
Yeah.
He
And
didn't even write his own rhymes.
it's
Like,
like,
that don't make no
come on,
sense.
B. Like, come
Write
on.
my pedophile rhymes for me.
Yeah,
Like,
like
what are we talking about here?
yeah. So to me, that's a problem, because then it makes, once again, the music is on trial, and we already are seeing where prosecutors are pulling lyrics and and other stuff like that. So I just want it to be, build the case, let it be
Yes.
based upon the facts,
And let the results be what
and
they are.
if he is guilty, then have him in a position where he could never hurt anyone ever again,
Yeah.
and let us learn and let us move forward.
Yeah. And I say, worry about your family and what's going on in your own personal family, because there's real potential victims in your own family, and you do far more good worried about that situation than you would some celebrity.
Yep.
All right.
Be careful at them parties.
Yeah.
Don't take no pictures at the party. All right.
Hey.
So, the NAACP, they had their, I guess, national conference not too long ago this summer. I think they always have the conference. And they put out a new resolution establishing literacy as a civil right for, for our community. The concerns is that large numbers of young people are unable to read most recent assessment, and this is not only just it's not we're only talking black and brown, we're talking all fourth graders. Only out of the last most recent assessment of fourth graders, only 1/3 were proficient in reading. And so they put out that proclamation. They're saying that they want the schools, the education systems to do better job than which they have been doing.
And to that, from that point, it said these results reflect a long-standing problem with grave social consequences, a reality the Department of Justice recognized when it declared illiteracy a casual factor in delinquent behavior and incarceration more than 30 years ago. And those of us who've been in education, there have been times where they talk about third grade reading levels and as a measurement to predict
Yes.
academic success based upon the ability to read by third grade, because fourth grade you have to already know how to read to learn. From up to third grade, or really up to second grade, you're more learning how to read. So third and fourth grade are really where things kind of shift. So if you don't know how to read, it will limit your ability to learn moving forward, which then puts you on a trajectory with a higher probability of these issues that they mentioned. So I applaud the effort of talking about it being a civil right. Find it interesting because we're also in the midst of this election and people attacking CRT. This week that we are actually recording, being the last week of September, is Banned Books Week. So they're asking people to focus and read those books that have been banned by different school districts inside of different
Banned
states. The literacy has become a very relevant issue, and I hope that in looking through the resolution that literacy is more than just reading, because I think there's a digital literacy that
Yes.
is causing a divide in the 21st century that could mirror the literacy of just reading regular text when the three of us were in school.
What say you, Mr. Williams, former teacher?
I mean, I'm glad. I think there definitely needs to be a push. I think one of the ways which I want people to understand is some of the ways in which we got here. And one of the ways in which we got here was just money, money, school systems purchasing programs to make money. When you work within large school systems or any school system, there's always a new fad that's coming through as far as education is concerned, and it seems to happen on cycles like every 5 to 8 years. So there's somebody called Lucy Calkins. She's a professor out of Teachers College, and she had this big program where she was doing the workshop model in education. The workshop model was a big deal in the early 2000s in New York City. They pushed it to everybody, wanted everybody to be trained. This is how you have to teach reading. They moved away from phonics. They were moving away from phonics before I came into the system, right? So they don't want you teaching phonics, really. They got you teaching other methods, particularly something that's going known as like a 3 cueing method, where you use like a semantic, as you're reading, if I don't know the word, does this word make sense? Syntactic, does it sound right? When I say it, does it kind of sound right? And graphophonic, whether I'm looking at pictures using context clues, does it look right? So I'm kind of using these 3 things as measurements to help me figure out what the word is. If I'm teaching particularly a young person, if I'm teaching them how to read that way, they don't have phonics, they don't have the grounding, they don't have the foundation. Sometimes you can pick a word that's not the right word, but it can fit, and you're good to go. And it makes it very difficult without kind of the phonics and the foundation of understanding root words and things like that. And because that was what was pushed for years, that's kind of how children were taught. And what happens in New York happens across the country. Now it's what happens in Texas, happens across the country. Texas is so big. Texas has whatever textbooks and things they create. Places make the textbooks for Texas, and everybody else kind of gets what Texas gets. by and large. So I mean, you know, it's all about the money, and everybody makes a system. So you continue to update it. Everybody has to buy it year after year, and then you're here. There was a big expose in the New York Times, I think in 2022. I think I forgot the name of it, but there's a big article and podcast about how it wasn't, the research base proved that it did not work, and now everybody moved against it within the last 2 years.
I'm glad that the NAACP did this. I don't know what change it will have on our young people. I recently was having a conversation with my wife, and you know, she was stating that she had a student from China, you know, a high school student from China that is in her class, and she has to translate the work to Mandarin. And I just don't know how you teach a child how to read. Now, he's not illiterate, it's a different language, but there are kids who are illiterate that also come into the grades. And it just seems like teachers are overwhelmed with having to teach other students. And whether you have other special ed teachers with you or assistant teachers or co-teachers, it just seems like a situation that once it becomes a problem, it's very difficult to fix that problem unless you're only focusing on that problem. And I say this as a layman, and both of you guys are in education, and know better than I do. But from the little that I hear, it seems like once it starts becoming a problem, it's really hard to fix.
It is. It is. There's not really systems in place, but it really begins with the methodology that you choose. So it's important that the people that are leading the program are have the true fidelity to the children and not necessarily to other things.
But
I'll
if,
say, I'm
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say no. I was gonna say that to your point, Aaron, and even what you're saying, Kev. This issue will never be fully addressed or resolved if the solution or those who are charged are limited to those who are in schools. I love the work of Dr. Goldie Muhammad, who has written two books. One is Cultivating Genius, and the other is Unearthing Joy. And she actually studied and brought to light the African American literary societies of the 1800s. And she shares these lessons from studying the presence of the African American literary societies and how these were rooted in communities. And this was at a time where you had certain states that it was against the law for people to learn how to read, but they understood, for example, like literacy was tied to joy, love, and aesthetic fulfillment. They understood that literacy learning was something that was highly collaborative and shared learning space was created. Literacy learning involved reading and writing diverse texts. Literacy learning also focused on how to reclaim the power of authority and language through critical literacy. And identity and intellectual development were cultivated alongside literacy learning. And I think there's a special purpose to us being literate, to be able to use it to build, to be able to use it as a weapon when necessary, that the schools have never championed and never will, because then it goes against, honestly, the system of school, because it really was not about us becoming liberated. It was about us learning just enough to assimilate to the system that they had in place. It was my hope that by the NAACP lifting this up, that what can we begin to do in the communities to address this? What are these different? And I
Yeah.
understand, in addition to the approaches, but this has to become a cultural shift, not just what you learn from 9 to 3. That's
Yeah.
only 6 hours a day. What you doing the other 18?
Yeah. And you know, I appreciate the NAACP, but I appreciate them making this step. My only concern is that uh, the resolution uh, uh, doesn't really have. It's not really prescriptive in in what needs to happen. They're more just pointing out that this is a right. It calls for accountability and monitoring. You know, research proven effectiveness teaching methods. Uh, be aware of research-based strategies and use them in their policies.
Yeah.
I think they have an opportunity to, now that they've made this proclamation, to do things behind the scenes that ensure their desire. So if they want research-based strategies to be used, then I think the next step is to make sure that they're in the ear of policymakers and saying these things, because they're in a position of power more so than the average citizen.
But
We have to
But at
take
some
it to
point,
a
you got to
grassroots
challenge.
level.
You got to thank you. You got to challenge what you have to challenge what is being qualified as research. Because at some point, it this has to reach the home. This has to reach where people gather, where people congregate, because there are literacies that are around that schools may not even recognize.
Yeah.
And so we got to be willing to go there and figure and really be willing to get everybody involved. This just can't be a school led thing, a top down thing. It can't be fund driven, where I mean, Kev, you work with schools and out of school programs and summer programs, but like, oh, your funding has to be on them being able to move from point A to point B, but you're not factoring in the socialization of what's going on in the lives of some of these children, where you're saying go from point A to point B. But what about the percentage of my class that's nowhere near point A?
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Tim. I just think that there's on a macro level, being that this is basically a macro proclamation, that they have an opportunity also, because this is a big stance to take.
Yeah.
So because it's a big stance and it will get traction as a big stance, it's an opportunity for them to take the steps behind the scenes with the politicians and the educators, and the researchers.
They're definitely going to have to design some type of program to be able to pilot it in a particular place to see it, so they can kind of do their own research. I mean, the reality is, if you want to make moves, you're going to have to come up with the proof. You're going to have to come up with the research and the results in order to make things happen. I'm hoping that this is that first step to try to push people to begin to want to research it and to look into those things, because that's the way the money rolls. That's the way the world works.
But I think Tim was touching on, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, that there's a lot of people we're listening to that are offering programs and things, and maybe they're not the right people to be listening to.
Yeah,
was I wrong? Was I wrong in that?
No, that's what I'm saying. You have to be able to design and help facilitate the program, the things that you want. But it takes getting the money and kind of the other things. It's kind of a multi-layered thing. Yeah, like I've taught reading in the past. One year I did a great job with my kids. I had them top scores in the school. I was like, yo, this is great. I thought they was going to move me up to back when they was tracking. I thought they was going to move me up to the best kids in the school. Instead, they moved me down to the bottom of the bottom kids.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember when that happened.
Yeah, and those were kids that were reading. This is back when percentiles. It was from a 3 to a 15. I had like 24 kids that read between a 3 and a 14 percentile.
And as we
I have a question for you, Tim, before you wrap up, though. But go ahead, make your point.
I just was going to say that the sad reality is there is so much money
Mm-hmm.
attached to continued delinquency. Do you know how much paper people are making for coming out with, oh, I have this new workbook and I have this new approach and I have this and I have that? It's like the nonprofit organization that raises millions of dollars to help with hunger when you should be working yourself to a point where there is no hunger.
Yes.
Are we
Yes.
really working ourselves to a point? Like, imagine if a community decided we are going to make sure our babies are coming in ready to read, ready to learn, hitting the ground running. We don't need those extra books. We don't need the program to focus on that. We'd rather have a program that focuses on this. And the money moves. So it's like, okay, now the money's on literacy. All right, now your program got to have a literacy component. Somebody gets shot. Oh, we need to have money around safety. Now your program got to have that. Well, the kid still can't read. Oh well.
Yeah.
Now we got to make sure they're safe. So the money is a funny thing, and sadly, a lot people, ourselves included, you get entangled where you can find yourself chasing the money and masking it as really caring about the people that you're serving. So go ahead,
Well,
A.
well, I know I know you care about the communities that you serve, but I just wanted to ask in what you do with hip hop
Hmm.
and education, is there a place for? And I know you teach older kids, but is there a place in using hip hop to help in literacy
Oh, definitely.
in terms of those that have difficulty reading?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And in our hip hop ed conversations, we got kindergarten teachers all the way up. And we often share, to Kev's point, a lot of that initial research really happens
Mm-hmm.
in your class. Like, these are the students that I'm working with, and then that becomes the problem. So like Kev, he's like, oh, I'm sure Kev stumbled on some practices that reached that group of young people that was amazing. Okay, now Mr. Williams, you got to take that to scale. Or now, Mr. Williams, we're going to take that framework and now you got to replicate it with this whole different group of kids, which means you're not factoring in somewhere along the way those young people probably fell in love with Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Those young people started doing the work and they started vibing together. So there was a cultural context in that space that made everybody come up. And so sometimes there's aspects of this that are really challenging to kind of put into boxes that can be replicated. But hip hop definitely can play a role, especially now because it's intergenerational.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so we talk about that a lot, is how movement comes into play as a literacy thing, because sometimes it's not just sitting down with the book,
Yeah.
acting out what you're reading. You think about the different type of learners. Now, everything is visual. So
Okay.
if you're giving me a book that has no pictures, you know, and
Particularly with the youth, the younger they are, or all
yeah,
grades.
I'd
It,
say up and down, but here's the thing. I think with younger grades, like early elementary, I
hmm.
think there still is the presence of you asking the question about hip hop.
Yeah.
They'll use songs. They'll use other attributes of the culture. Let's have some art. But somewhere around late elementary, they still fall into the trap of the very traditional, you're supposed to be able to do it this way now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But if we ask ourselves as adults, we all take in our books the way we want to choose to
Yeah.
do it.
Yes. Some want
But
to read, some want audible, some.
yeah, but some I want to see the movie first. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but students don't get that option.
Yeah.
So
Okay, doke.
Reggie Jacks, see, if we were streaming, people could see your face right now. You definitely got that villain in the movie. I'm gonna blow up all the libraries type
Well,
look.
well, according to YouTube, we are streaming, so
Ah,
I mean, I just get angry and mad at the process, man.
yes.
As I say all the time, this
yes, we
kid,
are streaming.
they got 1 year at third grade, they got 1 year at fourth grade, and while we take as adults, like, oh, we got time to figure this out. We got a couple of years pilot project to figure this out. Those kids don't have that type of time. They only got that 1 year to learn that particular material, and they need it because the scaffolds to get to the next year. And just for too many years, over and over and over again, we act like we don't know what we have to do in order how to teach kids to read. We know how to teach kids to read. Just do it.
Yes.
And so a further building off of your question about hip hop, could you imagine if there were family targeted literacy engaging programs in the Brooklyn Library that was attached to all of the Jay-Z content that was in the library?
Yeah.
And attach that to the thousands of people that came through to get one of those Jay-Z album cover library cards. So imagine if, hey, we're going to circle up. We're going to have a reading circle here. We got a reading specialist over here. We're doing something with the family here. And everything that we're presenting and everything that we're creating is going to be based upon what we've just witnessed through this exhibit. And have people research that.
That's ill. Wow.
So.
Okay. Yeah.
The Robinson Report. Now
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Can we hear that one more time? Because we've been dealing with the beatbox scratch for 3 seasons.
My chicka 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 has been
exactly.
by
The
it's
Robinson
the
Report.
Robinson Report.
Yeah.
Things are giving you life.
And
making Reggie
Jackson mad. But I'm not going to be mad today. I'm not going to be mad today.
okie doke.
The literacy was mad enough. You gotta balance it out.
All right. You're up first, Kev, since you got positive news.
All right. I got positive. So this weekend, right? I grew up upstate. I grew up in about an hour away from the city. Definitely not diverse. If you think of a place that's not diverse, it's worse than that, right? So, right. So anyhow, right. So I played on a football team championship. Yeah, I was a decent enough athlete there at the school, right? So, and now I'm there.
He was a monster.
Exactly.
So they honor us there. Homecoming. I get honored. Bring on the field.
No. You're giving a shortcut. I
Take
went
a
to my high school on Saturday.
I went to my high school this past Saturday for homecoming because they honored my football team.
You played how many years ago?
40 years. 40
years ago.
Yeah.
And it was a
40th anniversary,
yes.
And they're doing some other commemoration.
What did you do 40 years ago?
Oh, we won a championship. This is before they had the state things. We were state ranked in the team, and I did have a little opportunity to play some other places, but I chose not to because I chose Howard University.
Yes.
You
see how we tried to skip all over the good stuff.
So
they honored us.
So this was the 40th anniversary?
Yes, this is the 40th anniversary.
Oh, that's what's up. That's cool.
Right. So we go there. A couple of people have passed away, but it was kind of good to be there. As I said, I'm the one black guy in the picture, and again, I'm still the one black guy there.
Well, that wasn't gonna change.
I was about to say if that changed, that'd be a great Robinson report.
Somebody was lying a long time ago, right?
Like Troy was just really light skinned.
Yeah, but it was good. I've had some good moments there when I played at homecoming. It's good to see some friends, some old friends I haven't seen in a while. People who've done good, going on to do things. It was really, really nice catching up with some people.
It was important to Kevin. I could tell beforehand that it meant a lot to him and that he was looking forward to it. He always tried to play laid back, but I'm glad that he had a good time. Continue, Kevin.
Yes, I did. I had a good time. I'm even going to catch up with some people that I haven't caught up for years. Good friend of mine, the guy was, another running back. He went on to play at Alabama, and his son and daughter were like beast in track and field, and so we're going to catch up with each other. Good friend from there in Annapolis that's hanging out. I'm trying to spend some time with him. So it was nice to catch up. Even did a bonfire. So here's the crazy part. This is how So after the game, they say, okay, we're going to go to this bar or whatever to eat and drink. And I'm like, all right, cool, perfect. And they say, but it's not this place. It's another place a little further down the street. I'm like, all right, bet. So I drive now. I've done it. I think I met with them maybe about 10, 15 years ago or whatever. So now I'm driving and I go past the place and I'm like, okay, no, that's a barn. Like, that's a farm. That's not it. So I keep driving. Then I come back and I pull in and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for this place. They're like, yeah, it's here. I was like, wait, this is the farm? It's the apple orchard? What in the world? So now we're there.
Don't mind the haystacks.
Right, don't worry, the haystacks. Dude had a shooting range, like you at the carnival. So we get up there, we shooting. And then, right, so then he jumps in like this little caterpillar thing, and now he starts grabbing like wooden stacks, pallets, and piling them up. Now we got a bonfire going on. I was like, yo, if I told my friends where I was, it's a whole different life. But it was a good time. I felt young again, drinking out in some cornfield.
Very good, very good. The families come or mainly players?
As mainly players. There was a couple of wives.
That's
Couple.
good.
Yeah.
I know your wife wasn't there.
My wife was not there.
Did you guys watch the first game? You watched the high school play?
Yeah. We watched a high school play.
Did they win?
Yeah. They destroyed me. It's funny. So our quarterback for our championship team is the current team's football coach.
Oh, okay.
And our defensive coordinator was the athletic director for the opposing team. So he took pictures with us. He's like, hey, I got to go over to the other side.
Well, I'm glad you had a good one, Kev.
Yeah,
that's great.
What you got, Big Tim?
I am vibing off of, I'd say, my first hip hop crush. My first hip hop crush was MC Light.
Yes.
And she just
Me too.
dropped an album.
Oh, you're
Oh,
lying.
MC Light. I'm talking a full album, not this 30-minute
Oh, wow.
EP. I'm talking about 17 songs, 50 minutes.
Wow.
It dropped on September 20th, and the title of the album is One of One.
Oh my goodness.
And
I'm so
that's
excited.
her position. Like, I'm one of one. And
I was wondering why she had an interview real quick. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
She good.
About Shantae and her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Light isn't messy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess it's the album, the tour run. I
Yeah.
mean the press run. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Continue.
Nah, though it just was happy to hear, and we
Definitely
talked previously about should there be different genres within hip hop and other things that she couldn't have made this album before being at this stage in her life,
Okay.
but it still sounds like Light, and that for me is what I'm enjoying, because we are all in our 50s and we still are hip hop. We should have the freedom to do that and tell our stories that we're living now. So there's some points where she's giving those words of wisdom to young people coming up, speaking to her former self, but also really staking her claim into where she is now. And the last thing I'll say, there's a song called Kings that her and Queen Latifah do, where she really is speaking to the young boys coming up and young adults who are in the process of choosing a wife. And I thought that that was really powerful, hearing that coming from Light and Latifah to young men.
So, are there any young people on there, or pretty much
No.
our generation? Okay.
There's one or two people
I say Lil
with
Mama.
it. There's
I,
one
I
or
see Stevie Wonder.
I'm gonna say
I don't know if Lil Mama's young.
yeah, I'm gonna say there's a couple of names I'm not sure, but for the most part, this is LYTE.
I am so Tim, you hooked the brother up. This is the best. I can't wait to get off this podcast and listen to
And
this.
the thing that's dope is that she talked about sitting down with LL, and LL was like, "Yo, when you coming out with some stuff," and he really pushed her because she had been working on stuff, but just really hadn't put it out. And it was Elle who was like, "Yo, when you coming out? Like, you ain't got nothing to be afraid about. Put it out." And here you go.
Elle is really working the culture, and respecting and taking care of the culture. It's really good to see. But
Yep. So yeah,
That's
so
a good
that's
one.
that's mine. That's mine. One of one.
okay, mine's gonna be short. You guys know I went to Ireland about a month ago, and when I went, I always go. I want to immerse myself in the culture, and I was in a bookstore actually in Belfast when I went up to Belfast, and I wanted something written about or from Ireland. So I got this book called The Psalm Killer by a author named Chris Petit, Petit. I don't even know. Actually, I'm looking now. It was originally published in 1996, so it is not a new book, but is a book about just some killings and stuff. But it's about the conflict of what was going on between the Protestants and the Catholics, and Northern Ireland and Ireland, and England, and it really captures that period of time. It even goes back flashbacks to the 70s. So on a subject I never paid much attention to, and in my youth really didn't care about. It's really good to give me some perspective about the world in a novel. I really enjoy it. So it's called The Psalm Killer by Chris Petit. And that's my book for the Robinson Report.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Good.
Yep.
So, hey, signing off. Peace. This is Tim. My mic sounds nice.
My mic sounds nice. This is Kev. I'm out.
Yes, this is A. In my edits over the times, I've listened to you guys, and you would say goodbye without saying my mic sounds nice, and it would irk me. So you guys have been on it lately. My mic sounds nice. This is A. Goodbye. Check anyone who's on the live stream. We appreciate you.
And
See?
this is for Go Jets. Y'all representing.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all
Yes.
representing.
Aaron Rodgers looking like he's 33.
My boys is on IR. It's rough.
Yeah. I didn't say nothing about the Cowboys because that was a rough one too.
But go Jets. So
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
All right, y'all.
We play the Giants on Thursday, so the next show.
Oh, there you go. You good.
The next show might be a lot of beeps.
Yeah. That's a comeback. That's a comeback win for you.
I don't know. Who knows? Man?
I'm cheering for the Dallas beatdown because I got to get rid of Daniel Jones anyway. I can.
This guy looks good. Kev don't care. Kev still giving.
That's the worst thing that happened. He looked.
It's
good.
funny because Kev is in line with my wife Vanessa. She's like, Danny Dimes is the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want him to do good.
I'm saying he can't.
Can you nullify the contract and cut him by the bye week?
Yeah.
Yo, what for that first pass yesterday? He threw an interception, and it was they hit him in the head. I was like, you ain't hit him that hard.
Oh goodness!
Yo,
Bring down that flag.
I know one thing. I'll tell you this: Saquon has been on one.
Yes. That's the greatest signing. That's the greatest free agent signing of all last season.
But I've been asking for Saquon to leave the Giants for years, and I'm a Giant fan.
I don't understand.
And you've heard me say because I'm more of a football fan, and his skills are too great to be wasted.
And those are words from a running back that just celebrated his 40th anniversary.
Winning the championship.
Winning the championship. So
Yeah.
it's all love, fellas.
All right.
Till the next time.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace.